Yes, Jamaica. I, Tyrone Morrison, here once again, exposing the corruption as I told you I would, and letting you know what took place in Halfway Tree Night Court today, March 26, 2026. Um, when I went to court, um, like I said in a previous video I posted, the judge wasn't gonna allow me to say much. Exactly that happened. Exactly. All I heard was shoot up. I don't. That's all she was doing. I was like, I'm not gonna fight it for her to charge me with you know disobeying court orders or disobeying her order. So I didn't speak when she told me to shut up. So I didn't get a chance to speak, and I was supposed to do a psychic evaluation. When I opened my mouth to explain why I didn't do this psychic evaluation, she wouldn't let me finish. I started what I was saying, and before I got to stating the law, this is the statement I was going to read, um, and showing her that my constitutional rights was violated, and that the order was procedurally improper. Your Honor, pursuant to Section 16 of the Charter of Fundamental Rights and Freedoms, I am challenging the previous psychiatric order on grounds that it breached my constitutional rights. No reason was placed on the record as it is required whenever an order affects my liberty. I couldn't get to say that out, much less the finishing parts here. Let me just finish that up. Additionally, under the section 26 of the Criminal Justice Administration Act, the court must have cause or reason to believe that an accused is unfit to plead before ordering psychiatric assessment. And under the Mental Health Act, such an assessment must be based on medical or behavioral evidence. None was stated, none appears on the record, and therefore the order was procedurally improper. She would not let me state this. Um, the officers were supposed to bring the station logbook, which they did, and the evidence room logbook, which is all that states when I was taken into Central Police Station, which was the 26th of the 5th, 2025. Also, when I was released from there, which was the 13th of the 6th, 2025. The paperwork they brought to me was not official. It had lies that they told me police officers made a mistake. The mistake that the police officer made was the improper spelling of my name. This is what they claim. It also didn't have a lot of things like the date I was released. That was wrong also. They had June 3rd. I was released from there. So I told them I was not going to sign to this document. They tried to get me to sign to it, knowing that it's my right to ask the courts to authenticate this. So I did get with speed this sentence in before she stopped me again. Your Honor, I respectfully request that the court verify the authenticity of the documents submitted, as I have concern about their accuracy and origins. This is when The court steps in, which is the judge, and looks at the document and authenticate them. They try to get me to authenticate it. When I stated this to her, the judge told me that she doesn't authenticate. She doesn't do that. This is a lie. I wonder, how did this judge get to be a judge? I really wonder how Your Honor, Miss McFarland achieved being a judge. I am not even a lawyer. And I know that if I ask the court to authenticate this document, that the judge is supposed to do this. And she tells me a lie straight in court that they don't do it and refuse to do that. Okay? I didn't argue with her. I let it be. I also put in a letter of recusal, which is for her to have herself removed from my case based on the things that has been taking place. And she granted that. I know she would, because it's too much coincidence taking place for me not to believe that corruption is taking place, and she's not gonna be the one to give me a fair hearing. This is the recusal letter I submitted. Right. She accepted that, and she removed herself from my case. She therefore said she moved the case to a judge, I believe Miss Ellis. She referred to her as her sister. I don't know if it's sister in as another colleague, a judge, or literally her sister. I don't know what that statement was about right there. But she removed herself from the case and said the case would be seen by Judge Ellis. Upon doing that, I asked her, can I get this in writing? You accepted the recusal and removed yourself from my case. So can I get it in writing? She told me, they don't do that. I need to get a pen and write it down myself. I didn't argue the issue. She clearly knows what she was doing. She clearly could have seen that I seen and I known, and I was exposing her in every way I can. So the best thing she could have done was to remove herself from the case, accepting my recusal submission. All right, that's said and done. People, the journey continue. Now I go back to court on the 31st, which is Tuesday, in courtroom 1, halfway tree at 5 o'clock. It's just incredible. When I think about how did this Your Honor judge, honorable judge, become a judge. It's either you don't really know what you're doing, or you're working in corruption. So therefore, that was that. I posted some videos earlier. I went down to the Supreme Courthouse this morning trying to do some research at the library. I have to expose that corruption there. I was stopped from going there yesterday. I went there today. They stopped me from entering the building. When I did get there 2 days ago, the head librarian was telling me I cannot use the library. I let her know that I am representing myself, so I do have the right to use it. And even if I wasn't representing myself, you can go there and research the law, search up things from the law. This is the corruption taking place, Jamaica. I'm exhausted, frustrated, and tired, but I owe it to everybody that is following up what is going on with me to let them know what was the outcome of the case today. Um, and that was basically it. So whatever it is that take place after this, I'm sure to post it and let y'all know, and expose every angle of corruption that I come across. Without a doubt, I will be doing that. And that was my day for today.